A rogue deck that I'm really excited for is Xatu Garbodor. Welcome everyone to more from Sableyes. I'm Mitch and today we're going to take a look at Garbodor and Xatu together, the Dream Team. They are in action. We've got Xatu from Cosmic Eclipse, I think it is. This card we've done a deck profile on before. We're trying to use stadiums like Shrine of Punishment to get knockouts, and this time we've got something that's even better. That is Garbodor from Rebel Clash. So we'll take a look at a list that I actually genuinely think is really, really good. It's a lot of fun, and when it works, oh my goodness, you're going to have such a good time with it. But before we do that, we're going to very quickly do a little bit of a plug for our Twitter and our Facebook. They're above us at the Sableyes_YT. You can follow us there, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Only about 35% of people who view our videos are subscribed. It only takes a second, and it's free, so you don't need to feel bad about doing it. Give us a like and a comment as well, telling us what you think you would like to see next. We've got a whole bunch of different ideas, but hey, without further ado, we'll take a look at the list. So our main attacker in this deck is going to be Xatu. It's an interesting one, for sure. It's got lots of crazy things that it can do. We are focused specifically on its second attack, Life Drain. For a Psychic and a Colorless, we're going to be able to flip a coin, and if it's heads, we'll put damage counters on our opponent's active Pokemon until its remaining HP is 10. So we'll give it pretty much a full swathe of all of the damage that we could do to it, putting it down to 10 hit points left, and then the aim of the game is to try and knock it out. Now we've got a couple of ways that we can do that, namely through Rebel Clash's new Poisonous Puddle Garbodor. If we have this in play, we can poison our opponent. If we flip heads, we put them down to 10 HP, and the poison will knock them out. That seems pretty solid. We've also got, same as our last look at Xatu, Shrine of Punishment, so you can definitely get this into play as well, and if you've got a GX in the active, then Shrine will do the job as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can do, and if we do flip heads but don't put them down to 10 HP, then we could potentially just do some spread damage with Mew later in the game and get that knockout anyway. So there's a few ways we can go about it. It's interesting, we've got two versions of this deck, I guess. The one that we're going to show you today is based on a kind of Malamar engine, but you realistically could play this with some other stuff as well. I'll tell you about that in a second. We've got Malamar here to Psychic Recharge because we do need 2 energy to attack with Life Drain, and because we've got Malamar, we can also put in Baby Blacephalon, so if ever our opponent goes down to exactly 3 prize cards, we can spread 12 damage counters around, which will be pretty strong. That's very, very good. And we also have Latios-GX as well. We can Tag Purge potentially because of Malamar, and we can also use Clear Vision GX to try and stop decks like ADP Zacian from GXing on us, which is a pretty big win condition for them. So that is an option. Another way that you could play this, you could cut the Malamar line entirely and have 6 free slots and put in things like Horror Energy as well as Counter Gain. So Horror Energy will be another option to try and get that knockout. You can put the Horror Energy and a Counter Gain on a Xatu and flip heads if they go down, or then they go down to 10 HP. If they attack into you, they're going to knock themselves out, so that would be pretty cool. So there's definitely a lot of different options that we can use to get that attack working. And the best thing about this deck is that sometimes we can just guarantee that it's going to work. We have 2 copies of Will, which means that when we flip a coin, we can choose what the outcome of that coin flip is going to be. So if we play Will as a supporter that turn, we can just say, yep, the next time we flip a coin, we're going to get heads, which means that, yep, when we flip coins for Xatu, it's heads every time. So that's a way to guarantee ourselves a knockout, and we can also pick those Wills back up with Mewtwo with Mind Report. So we've got the options there. Apart from that, the list is very, very bland, really. I mean, the main attackers are the key interesting bits, but the rest of the list is just built around consistency. We need to get Xatus in play, so we run a 4-4 line, and we've got Ordinary Rod to put them back. We run 4 of each Pokemon Communication and Quick Ball to try and find our Pokemon as quickly as possible. We have 28 Pokemon in this list, which is just stupid. So Pokemon Communication is super, super useful. We run 4 Switch and 2 Escape Board to use with our 4 copies of Jirachi. We need those in play as early as possible. And then we've got a 4-2 line of Professor's Research and Marnie so that we can draw some cards. But yeah, ultimately, I actually genuinely like this list. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a better way to build it. but I think it's really, really strong. Like I said, you can cut down on the Malamar line if you'd like. Maybe if you don't care about the ADP Zacian matchup, you can get rid of the Latios, and there's definitely some additions that you can make. For now, we'll take this list out onto the ladder, and we'll see exactly how it works. Hopefully we can get this Will combo off. We'll see how we go. So yet again, thank you very much to Sable-Eyes Legend Sam for recording this footage for us. It's a little bit pixely. I think the screen might have been a little bit small, but that's okay. We're going to see whether or not we can get this deck to work here. It's the first time seeing it, just like you, Ash Ketchum. Ash Ketchum, and a very interesting name. This is an interesting start. We've got Jirachi in the active, and we've got Malamar and Xatu on the bench, so I think we could potentially be looking at Pokecomming this Malamar away and giving ourselves access to a Natu. It just depends on, of course, what we get off of the top deck and the Jirachi here, so we'll see how we go. We've got an extra card because of that mulligan, and that's very frustrating. The two Wills in our hand are very annoying. It means that we are unlikely to be able to keep those and play them naturally. We're going to need to just wait and see whether we can get them with the Mewtwo. We've got the Natu here, so we'll attach the energy. We can Stellar Wish. Hopefully we can get into a Quick Ball or something like that. If we do find Quick Ball, then we're going to be set for next turn. We can maybe find another Xatu, or maybe even find, a Natu, or even find ourselves an Inkay, which is also not a bad idea. So we'll grab this Quick Ball. We'll play it. We're probably going to discard a Will or something like that, I would say. Let's get rid of those cards, and then we can put down an Inkay, no problems. Seems to be a lot of thinking going on here. We'll get rid of the Will, and then I think it's going to be Inkay or Trubbish. You know, Trubbish does seem important, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, we should probably get Trubbish before we get the Malamar, because we've already got the attachment. So here I am, thinking about all the things we could be doing, but Trubbish does seem like a better play. From here, there's not a lot more that we can do, so we're just going to pass. And I think we're in a pretty solid spot here because we are playing against Rillaboom, so even if they have a perfect first turn here, they're not going to be knocking out our Jirachi. They're probably going to be using their Tag Team GX Alolan Exeggutor and Rowlet to try and evolve their Rillabooms on the bench. So hopefully everything falls apart for our opponent, but even if they do get a perfect turn, we could potentially be taking 3 prizes next turn. Like, it's not unrealistic. There is the Roweggs, so they've got it in play. Do they have themselves a way to retreat? That's the next question. It doesn't seem like it. They're actually using Rillaboom V's Forest Feast, to attack into this Jirachi. There's no damage, and they're just going to find a bunch of grass Pokemon to chuck on the bench. So that's fine by us. Oh, look at that. We just managed to top deck the Inkay as well. I'm happy with that. We'll play down the Xatu. I think we're probably going to have to Professor's Research here. There's a part of me that wants to be greedy and try and find something off of Stellar Wish, but we need to find Retreat and Energy as well as a Garbodor. So I think the best thing for us to do here is just going to be to research. We will, of course, need to flip the coin, but I'd rather flip the coin than not have the chance to attack at all. So, Sam here going for the Jirachi first. Probably a little bit of a mistake. That's okay. You normally go for the research first, just because then you give yourself the best opportunity to find the cards that you need. Because here we're going to shuffle these cards back into the deck, and we can just pick them all up again with research. So, probably not the best idea, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I want to hit that research and see what we get. We need to find now a Garbodor, an Energy, and a Retreat off of that particular research. So hopefully we can get into it. We've got an Energy, we've got a Switch, and we've got a Garbodor, so we've got them all. We're going to be able to do everything that we want to this turn. And we also have another Quick Ball, so we could probably find another Natu as well. So probably Quick Balling away the Inkay or the other Quick Ball wouldn't be a bad idea. That way we can find ourselves a Natu for next turn, which would be pretty good. So it looks like we're getting rid of the Inkay and putting down the Natu. So now we are looking for the coin flip. Oh my goodness, what is going on here? What we're Quick Balling away. Oh, we're going for Dedenne. Fair enough. No reason to realistically go for that Dedenne right now, but we can, absolutely. There's no problem with that. We found ourselves Malamar for next turn. The awkward bit here is that now we are going to, potentially, if we get Marnie, we're going to find it a little bit more difficult to get that stuff going. But the life drain is happening. Flip heads, yes! We got it, fantastic. Hi there everyone, it's Editing Mitch here. I'm about to complain about Sam not putting the Garbodor damage down onto this Rillaboom, and I'll make reference to it for the rest of the video, and it's embarrassing, because obviously you can't use Garbodor unless there's a stadium in play, so Editing Mitch understands that. Recording Mitch doesn't. Recording Mitch is a bit of an idiot, so give him a break. He doesn't know what he's doing. Sam, hey, you might have forgotten to click the Garbodor there, mate. Yeah, see what I mean? Because we should have just taken 2 prizes. Whoops, doesn't matter. It's gonna be fine. I'm not worried about it. Oh my word, this is a disaster. It's okay. They're switching into the Rao eggs here, and like I said, worst case scenario, or like best case scenario for our opponent, they're evolving the Grookey on the bench into a Rillaboom. So we should be fine, and we can probably deal with that Rillaboom V on the bench a little bit later. Although that Life Forest coming down is going to be a bit of a problem. I'm not entirely happy about that. They're going to be able to heal 60 damage off. So yeah, probably should have used the Garbodor there, but that's okay. It's going to be fine. It's not a problem. Whoops. They're going to be evolving their Grookey on the bench here into the Thwackey first, and then into Rillaboom from there. So next turn they'll be attacking. We've kept our Xatu in play, so I'm happy with that. We've got ourselves a Malamar. We've also got ourselves another Xatu if we want it. We can use Pokémon to shuffle away either the Latios or the Jirachi, doesn't really matter in this matchup, to try and grab another one of those Xatus. We can grab that one and evolve the Natu this turn. Then we're probably just going to hit the research. I think the thing that we're keen for here is another energy if we can find one. That would be great. And we also managed to replace the stadium here, so this is really big. We'll attach to the Xatu. We will also now remember to click Poisonous Puddle. Not that we need to now, but it's definitely worth doing just in case we flip tails. Let's Life Drain and see what happens. Heads again. Alright, so we rolled the 75% chance to get them twice in a row. We took 3 prizes there, and the Shrine would have helped us out as well. So very happy about that. But the problem that we are finding ourselves in is now we need to take 3 prizes when we should realistically only need to take 1, but that's okay. Shaman comes into the active here, and it's going to be able to get a knockout on this Xatu, I would think. It's going to do 30 times the amount of energy in play, and so Rillaboom's going to be able to accelerate 2, and that Rillaboom's already got 1 on it, so they're more than capable of getting this knockout here, which is quite frustrating. They're grabbing out another Rao Egg, so we could have a chance. If we can gust that up, that Rillaboom VMAX could also be an interesting one. And it looks like, yes, they are going for the knockout. So we're in a very interesting spot here. This Shaman has 80 HP. So we didn't talk about it, but in the deck, we've got actually an attacker that can attack for 2 energy to guarantee that 80 damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this energy on the Trubbish and then Psychic Recharge to it. As long as that Shaman is poisoned, we can actually do, I think it's 70 damage with our Trubbish. So I'm relatively happy with that. What we can do is we can poison this Shaman and then retreat into the Trubbish and use Venoshock, which will get us the knockout. It's going to do 20 plus 50 more because our opponent is poisoned. Then the 10 will tick across, and there's a knockout. So happy with that one. We've managed to save our Xatu as well, which is pretty good. Although there is a risk they do gust the Xatu out, we could be in a bit of trouble because that Xatu is now the only thing that we're going to be able to use to take a one-shot knockout on our opponent's Pokemon. So hopefully it doesn't all go horribly wrong. We do have Mind Report Mewtwo here, so we could potentially win this game next turn if they don't boss, but they do. They've gone with the Xatu, and they're going to take the knockout with Calming Hurricane. Okay, now we are in a real interesting spot, because we're going to need to take knockouts. A knockout on a 2-prize Pokemon at the moment. We've only got 3 prizes or 1 prizes on the field, so it's just a matter of what do we think is the best thing to do. We'll play down this Natu. That's probably okay. We could just poison and attack with Venoshock. That will deal a nice 70 damage, plus the 10 from the Shrine and also from the Garbodor. But the question is that going to be enough? I don't know. It could be very, very awkward. Our opponent does need to take 4 prizes here, so it's not the end of the world if we do attack with Trubbish. What we'll do is we'll grab this Escape Board off of the top here with Jirachi. I think maybe it's going to have to be the way to go. We'll just do that 70 damage with the Trubbish. We'll put this Escape Board down on the Dedenne as well. I don't think it ever matters that we've got it here. And then, yeah, we'll just do 70 damage plus 10 for the poison and 10 for the Shrine. So they'll be on, what, like 100 damage? So we could potentially get a little bit closer. but they are going to be healing with Calming Hurricane. This is very awkward now, and they have got themselves Skylar, and they've got the Turfield as well. So the Skylar is going to be grabbing them an item from the deck. That's a reset stamp. That's a really big card here for them. They're going to reduce us down to 2 cards, which is quite frustrating. But we do have the Jirachi still, and unbelievably, we managed to find the Mewtwo as well. So that's pretty good. But now the Xatu is in the deck, so we're going to need to find that. Worst case scenario, we can use Pokemon Communication and just hope for the best. We'll see how we go. We're in a bit of a tight spot though. It's a very interesting one, and they're actually going to get rid of all of our energy here with Tropical Hour, so 200 damage, and that will put all of the energy from our field back into the deck. So now not only do we need to find an energy to attach to our Pokemon, we need to find the Xatu as well. It's going to be very, very awkward. We've got a Shrine, okay, so we can play that down. We've also got the Pokecom, so worst case scenario, we can find ourselves a Xatu. The question is, what are we going to do if we don't find a supporter off of this Stellar Wish? I'm just going to presume we're going to find one. Let's just find one off the Stellar Wish. Best case scenario, we get some more cards here. I don't think there's anything else that we can realistically do other than just hope that we get one. There's 23 cards in deck. We'll see. We got to research. Okay, cool. So we've got ourselves a plan here. We can play down the Shrine. We can either grab ourselves a Xatu with the Pokecom, which would guarantee that we win the game, or we could actually use Baby Blacephalon here. We hope that we get ourselves an energy, and then we could take a knockout on, not a knockout on the active, but we can put a lot of pressure onto the active. So we'll see how we go. There's heaps of energy in the deck, so the chances are we'll find them. I think Baby Blacephalon is a little bit safer because it gives us an extra chance here. We'll play down the Blacephalon and then hit the research. Since our opponent is on 3 prizes, there we go, we've got the energy as well. Since our opponent is on 3 prizes, they will be taking 120 damage. What we can do is we can put a 120 onto the active. It'll go to 240, and then they're obviously poisoned and now have shrines. So I don't think we're going to get the knockout here, but we are going to put this Eggrow in a lot of trouble here. We're going to possibly be able to take a knockout with maybe even the Garbodor. So we'll see how we go. We're going to Fireworks Bomb. I think we just put them all onto the active. Let's put all 12 of them here. Click, 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 click. What's that? 230 plus the 10 from the poison and the 10 from the shrine as well. So 250 damage. Now only 30 HP remaining. Of course, they will heal 30 if they do attack with this Eggrow. We've got Mew somewhere floating around as well, so if they take a knockout, we could win the game with Mew with that 30 HP on the bench. I think we're actually in a pretty solid spot. We've used Xatu twice and only taken 3 prizes with it. And when you think about it, we really should have been in a position to win the game a little bit earlier, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. We've managed to get ourselves pretty much everything going here, which is pretty impressive. But you can see what I mean about like the Malamar versus the Counter Gain and the Horror Psychic Energy could potentially be another way to play this list. I really like both. I think they're both pretty cool. There's the knockout on the active. Okay, so I'm looking at a Calming Hurricane here, 220, but they're going to be poisoned and the Shrine damage is going to tick. So they're going to be on 240, which means I think all we need is just the Mew and we win the game. We could even use the Garbodor if we want. Not the Garbodor, the what do you call it? The Trubbish. We could do that. So we've got an energy. We've got a Malamar in the bin. Malamar in the field. Sorry, we've got energy in the bin. I think we're good to go. We'll just use Pokecom here. We'll put away the Malamar. We'll grab ourselves. What are we going to grab? We can grab the Mew. No, we should probably do it with the Trubbish. We've got the chance to do it with the Trubbish. We should do it with him. He never gets a chance to take knockout. So we'll get the Trubbish. We'll attach the energy, Psychic Recharge, and then we'll be able to retreat and take the knockout. There's the win. It's more of a Trubbish deck, I'd think, than Xatu. So I actually really like this list. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know whether or not the Malamar is the way to go. Like I've said many times during this video, it could potentially be Horror Psychic Energy and Counter Gain, but I like the list regardless. I think it's very, very strong, and the fact that we got to attack with multiple different attackers, not just Xatu, means that there's a little bit more flexibility there. So it's definitely worth a try. The best thing about it is it's going to be relatively cheap. Lots of these cards are going to be available for you on the PTCGO trades wall for relative value, so you should be able to grab them pretty easily. Anyway, without further ado, we'll end the video here. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along. We appreciate your company. Make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already. There's a button here that you can do it with. Otherwise, you can check out some of our other videos on this side of the screen, as well as a playlist. Ding, there it is, for more of our Rebel Clash content. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you all next time for more from the Sableyes.